Ladies and gentlemen, happy new year. Welcome into the Mancast, episode 42, the first one of the 2024 year, and one of the last few of the 2023 NFL season. So, with that, we are catching up. We missed one here over the holidays, but we're going to get caught back up. Probably won't touch much on, some of the stuff that before that, but we have a lot to talk about going forward because we need to discuss playoff pictures and so forth. But what I want to start with today, my boy Ed, is the absolute theft that took place uh, against the victims that were the Lions. They got a game absolutely stolen from them by the ongoing horrific refereeing in this game. Obviously, I don't know anybody whose team hasn't been absolutely completely fucked at some point by the refs in a game this season, and maybe that's what they're going for. They love parity. Maybe if everybody gets a big shaft in the ass and it fucks them out of a game, maybe that makes it even. I don't know. What do you say, bud?
I I say that the officiating is so good that the NFL should never change it. They are clearly there are no problems. I don't see the problem in Detroit at all. I mean, if you're going to talk to the head referee, first off, Dan Campbell can say all he wants that they explained to the officiating crew pre-game, but Allen wasn't there. So, and they also, during the game, multiple times reported tackle eligible, but it wasn't the player for that play. So it seems completely obvious to me that it's everybody's fault but the referees. And thank God everybody is now changing their mind and blaming the blame where it belongs, which is on the players and the coaches who did absolutely everything right. Because when you do everything right, it's been my experience in football and in politics that if you do everything right, you're absolutely wrong. And that's how I know that the referees are 100% correct here, is because they did everything wrong and everybody else did everything right. So I don't see the problem.
Yeah, well, here we go again. The only reason Dan Campbell didn't absolutely lose his shit and say what he had to say was because he didn't want to pay six figures like Andy Reid just did.
That is correct. And
Um,
I'll add this too. Um, the quarterback, Jared Goff, also put himself out there and risk getting fined, which has not happened so far, by saying that he knows for a fact who checked in and who didn't check in. And the refs shit the bed here.
if they could fine him for that, they're literally fining him for saying the
The
truth
truth.
and not even anything disparaging or anything. Go, I fucking love to see it. Go for it, NFL. I will fucking boycott. I don't even give a shit about Jared Goff. I will fucking boycott because you're liars.
I don't have much love or hatred for Jared Goff. He seems like a fine gentleman to me. And he's a pretty good
Yeah.
quarterback, but there's absolutely no reason for him to be lying. There's no reason for three other Detroit players to be lying. There's no reason for the coach to be lying. And by the way, the NFL now admits that Allen was not at. He was late, doing his job because it's so damned important to him that he didn't even go with the other referees to this meeting. So he had no clue about any of the plays, tackle eligible, trick plays, or otherwise, that they would be running in the game. So the officials knew. The reason they do this pregame, I don't know if anybody has seen ESPN, Buddy Ryan's kid who coached the Buffalo Bills, and oh my God, what's his name? Anyway, his last name's Ryan. Coach Ryan. Rex Ryan, right. Thank you. Couldn't grab his name there out of the air. So anyway, he sat and went on a soliloquy on ESPN for like 15 minutes about how, as a coach, and every coach and player and every player around the round table was going, oh yeah, that's right. Him explaining how this goes down, because they want to know pre-game. Are these illegal formations? Are you going to call us on this? This is what we're doing. This is exactly how this is going to go down. They even told the other refs that were in that room that they were going to try to make it look confusing for Dallas so that they wouldn't know who was what with the guys who could potentially be eligible. And because Allen wasn't there, he knew nothing about it. This is 100% on them. And now the fact that people who protect the shield, like NFL.com, the NFL Network, and now even ESPN, they're all walking shit back. And that frankly makes me sick to my stomach. You know what? You have more power over the NFL than they have over you. It's not like the NFL has exhausted the possibilities of how they're going to get games out through networks or through cable and pay for. Do you really think that somebody other than Prime Video is going to come up and give you billions of dollars to show 14 games during the year, and out of those 14, 12 of them absolute fucking garbage? That's not happening. There's too many viewers going in too many directions. The NFL's overplaying their hand here a little bit, and I hope they get bit because Goodell has made it clear. Now, there are no changes on the horizon for how they're doing any of this, period. Which means he has no intention on improving a product that, and this is not hyperbole, they have the worst officiating crews in professional sports on earth, period. To your point, I can think off the top of my head at least a dozen games. But this one was procedural. It wasn't even an iffy call or a non-call. This was absolutely procedural, and you were warned ahead of time that we were going to be doing this and being put in that situation, and he still blew that call. And for the conspiracy theorists out there, man, is this fuel for that fire? Oh my God!
Of course.
And
But really,
it kills Detroit.
Also,
it kills him.
Sure.
That's because the NFL prefers Dallas over Detroit, period.
That's my theory, is that that was what they wanted to happen.
Sure they did.
To stifle the Lions so that the fucking Cowboys can stay ahead of the game there. But listen, it's, for me, it's not like you can overturn the outcome. There was too much time left, and teams can do wild shit in, seconds left in the game.
That was at the end of the game. Seconds on the clock. Seconds. Kickoff, and then the game was over. That's all it would have been.
It was like 38 seconds or something like that. We've seen Josh Allen do it at 13, and I'm not saying Dak is Josh Allen by any means, but you just can't. You can't.
Oh no! They're not going to overturn it no matter what, or disqualify it or anything else. But what I think is ironic, the irony here to me, is that this just didn't change the outcome of a game. They go from potentially Detroit wins this Sunday. They should have won that one. They win this Sunday. They have home field advantage. That's gone.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be third. And they're only going to get one home game.
I know it.
So they got, but here's the irony. I hope that Dallas they're going to beat the Commanders, but if Philadelphia wins, they still win the East. I hope Dallas has to go to Detroit and play them, man. I hope that's what
It'd be great. It'd be great. Yep. And we know how well Dallas does on the road. So
Right. About the only team that's worse than Dallas on the road is the Miami Dolphins.
How about it? Yeah. So what a deal that was. But yeah, again, I think this is all indicative of these part-time refs. It's not a professional unit. They're not. If it was a professional unit, you wouldn't have guys showing up late, especially the leader of the team.
Right.
If it was a professional unit, there would be some protocol for that. So if you're the guy that's leading the team of refs, you're running the crew, and you're the one that people are going to report to with these tackle eligible plays, and you don't show up, there needs to be a protocol. So, okay, well, today they're not reporting to you because you didn't get the fucking upfront info. So whoever did, they're going to be the person that gets the report, right?
Right.
Something. Yeah. I think that if this was a year-round occupation, they'd probably be covering all this shit.
Well, right.
They'd probably hammer all that out. Yeah.
Of course
they'd probably take some time, and they'd probably polish their occupation. They'd make their fucking job badass because they would be vying for anybody else who wanted this job. It isn't just a part-time gig. You don't have any other irons in the fire. This would be your baby.
Right.
And so you'd want to be the top, the cream of the crop.
Right.
You know?
They're more concerned about their law firms or their medical practice. They don't give a shit, or their engineering practice. These are professional
Fucking
people who are
hobby.
college educated. This game's complicated, and it takes a certain kind of individual to do it. It's not for everybody, but they should be full time. If you're not willing to be full time, step aside. We have less of
Absolutely.
these problems at the college level than we do at the pro level, and
Yep.
and that's because the college level can't afford to hire full time officials for, think about it, 120 Division I schools, each playing 11, 12 games a year. Forget it. It's just
Right.
not there. Plus, there are clearly different levels of play, right? If
Right.
Wichita State is playing Kent State, that's a little bit different than Penn State playing Alabama, right? These are different things. And so you have different qualities and different hierarchies of how all this stuff gets done. But what they do in college football that's entirely different is every play is reversible and everyone is looked at in review before the next play. Every single one.
Yep. And we're going to need that too, because they should have, honestly, I think Dan Campbell should fucking nut up and hold a press conference and show the video we've all seen where we can see that 68 clearly reported and 70 did not. And he should go, fuck you, NFL.
Well,
Here's your 100 grand.
he needs
I
the
eat my
Ford.
ass.
He needs the Fords to sign off on that, so when he gets a $20 million fine that they're going to pick up the tab. They'll suspend him if he were to do something like that. They just kick him out of the damn league. So what what's not going to happen is a leader of the competition committee, otherwise known as Jerry Jones. He sure as hell isn't going to do anything about this, because Dallas needs to cheat to be good. Because in reality, Dallas is on a 3. You want to know, here to me is the perfect example of how the NFL, as a group, as an organization behind that shield, loves the Dallas Cowboys more than any other team. Period. End of sentence. Dallas should have lost that game. And for anybody ranking in power rankings, that should be counted against Dallas. While it shouldn't necessarily harm them, it certainly shouldn't have helped them. And they just came off 2 consecutive ass beatings in a row when they could have sewn things up, when they could have showed how good they were. And they couldn't do it. And now they were going to lose their first home game, which means they would have lost 3 games in a row. Guess where the NFL Network has them ranked in the power rankings? 3rd. As of today. 3rd. Yep. So let me get this right. In the NFL, the Ravens, the Niners, and then the Cowboys? Come on. After literally losing 3 games in a row, and they're still ranked 3rd. Not only that, if you look at their thing, they'll have a little arrow, and underneath that says how many spots they moved up. Dallas moved up 3 spots on a win they didn't even deserve. When nobody else that was above them lost. So explain that to me. So
Magic.
Obviously, the league as an entity wants Dallas. They want the NFL Network, NFL.com, CBS, Fox. They want all these guys talking about the Cowboys as if they can't lose. I watched FS1 because I had to see how Skip Bayless was going to react to this just for fun. He said Dallas deserved to lose and that Detroit got jobbed. And then 5 minutes after he said that, when I thought, man, first time Skip Bayless did something, I can't believe it. Then he went into soliloquy about how Dallas is now winning the Super Bowl because he's a complete moron. But at least he admitted, and so did Michael Irvin, that Dallas deserved to lose that football game. So at least they're willing. So I think it caught everybody off guard. I've never seen a team lose because of a procedural error. Oh, one other time. Remember the coin flip in overtime in the playoffs a few years ago? And they got it wrong. Guy said tails, and they said heads, and what? No. So, and Pittsburgh lost that game because Jerome Bettis was the one who called that, and they lost that playoff game in overtime because they gave them the wrong team the ball before they changed the rules for overtime. So that's the only other
Nutty.
procedural error, and you could make the argument that one was even worse. But those guys, the referee that got that call wrong was stood in front of the shield the next morning and shot in the forehead. So at least they took care of that problem right then.
Well, I was going to say this is the first time I've seen referees be punished in some way, which they just don't get to do any refereeing in the postseason. They should get their fucking check taken away for that game. At least the head guy, at least Allen should. And
And by the way, why can't they be fined? Like NFL players get fined left, right, and always for just ridiculous, stupid shit. They can't apply fines to the referees.
well, and his crew's been terrible this season
Terrible all
too.
season long. They were the
Like
ones
you can go back
responsible
and
for
look.
those bullshit calls with Kansas City and Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but several others, you know.
But
So
we'll move off from the lines because we can stay here all damn day, and we can move
yeah.
on to the Dolphins. Suck. Now I know that everybody wants the Dolphins to be good, and they beat Dallas. It's the only team with a winning record that they beat in Dallas. In my estimation, if anybody listens to this show, I don't think are all that good because the one thing you can always count on is Dallas to choke, and when they can't choke themselves, the referees do it for them. So, or save them from themselves, which is what we just watched. Dallas hasn't beaten a good team either all year. Um, they didn't beat the Lions. They beat the Eagles, who have clearly shown they're not all that good. So Miami is getting their ass beat by the Bills. Bills are going to win their division. I'm rolling with them all the way to the Super Bowl. They're going to upset the Ravens.
Wow. Yeah, so I have the Dolphins beating the Bills, but
Can't see it. The Dolphins are in the playoffs no matter what. The Bills, if they don't win this game, could still be out of the playoffs. They have much more to play for. They're gonna. Plus, I think they're the better team. They beat them 48-20 earlier in the year.
oh, I know. I just don't think that happens twice in a season
Over their
for
last 8 games,
starters.
the Bills are 7-1.
And I also don't think that the Bills. I think the Bills are a massive roller coaster, and it's time to take a dip.
And the
Um,
Bills beat Dolphins twice last year.
yeah,
So,
I
yep.
don't.
I'd be
Last
surprised if
year's
the Bills lose,
last.
actually.
Well, you should be. They're also 3-point favorites in the Dolphins' house, but I still got the Fins,
And the
so I
Dolphins'
think the
best
Fins pick one up.
edge rusher and linebacker is done. ACL torn. He's out.
Yeah,
And their starting
not good.
cornerback is out and won't be back until at least divisional round of the playoffs if he makes it back at all.
Oh, I know it's not good. So I'm most likely going to be wrong.
Well, you've been picking against the Bills 5 weeks in a row and been pretty much
Might as
wrong
well
the
keep
whole time.
rolling. I mean, but at some point, dude, it's my chance. You think they're just going to be under? Yeah, because you think they're just going to keep winning until they win the Super Bowl.
Well,
But I
sure,
think that's
somebody's got to.
insanity.
Oh,
Yeah.
after this weekend, you can only win until the end, no matter what.
No, you. Yeah,
After
you
this
can
weekend,
lose.
you lose, you're out. That's the end of that. And for
That's
some
what
teams
I'm
this
saying.
weekend, you
That's
lose,
what I'm
you're out.
saying.
The,
That's what I'm saying.
the Pittsburgh
I didn't
Steelers
say anything
win
wrong.
and the Texans win and the Bills lose, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I
Bills
know.
aren't going to lose. Miami's not near as good a team as the Bills are. Bills have won. I mean, there was a time just not too long ago. The Bills were 6-6. They're 10-6.
You know what, man? I tell you, here's a big reason why they'll probably lose. Here's a big reason why I think they have a shot at losing. I could see fucking Josh Allen getting hurt like that, dude. The fucker runs more than he throws now. Stephon Diggs hasn't caught a fucking pass in 5 weeks, or I mean a handful, but like I don't know what's going on with him, but it seems like if Josh Allen wasn't their top rusher, they wouldn't have a fucking offense.
No, he's
That's
not
my
their
opinion.
top rusher because their other running backs already over 1,000 yards.
I mean, just as the last 3 or 4 games is what I'm talking
But
about.
well, against Dallas, their running back rushed for over 200 yards. It was 2
I
weeks
know.
ago.
Yeah.
But the
All
week
right.
before that, Diggs had 150 some yards receiving and 2 touchdowns.
4 weeks ago?
3
That's what I'm
weeks ago.
talking about.
The next week, nobody did anything against Dallas because all they did was hand the ball to one guy. Because that's all they needed to do.
Yeah, no
Now, I
doubt.
just after Miami got away with one with Dallas, but if Miami was anywhere near as good as their critics seem to think they are, you don't roll in with the Ravens with something really big on the line. They still had a shot at a much higher seed, and they didn't just lose, they got destroyed. It always worries me when teams who are supposed to be playoff quality elite teams that have a shot at the Super Bowl, which everybody's been claiming about Miami all year, and then you roll in and get your face beat in by 40 damn points. It's a really bad look with only one game left to go in the year.
Yeah, it was a beatdown. That's for sure. The
And
fucking
so,
Ravens are.
well, to be fair, to beat down, they beat down in the last 4 games the Jags, the 49ers, and the Dolphins. All of them destroyed. They beat those 3 teams by an average of 25 points per game.
Mm-hmm. Killing it.
And I'm still not 100% convinced that Lamar Jackson will be able to do it in the playoffs. He won the MVP a couple of years back, and they had home field advantage and lost.
Yep. He's won 1 playoff game out of 4.
So, and I like to talk about, when it comes to say like Brock Purdy, you have to do it when it counts. And while Lamar has shown in the fourth quarter that he can lead his team to victory when they're behind, he's only done that in the regular season. So we're going to find out a lot about him. He's going to get the MVP. That's for sure.
Sure.
I don't think he deserves it because I think Christian McCaffrey does. But we just give those awards, although he did throw for 5 touchdowns, but last week. But Christian McCaffrey overall, see, it's supposed to be the most valuable player to your team. Take Lamar Jackson off the Ravens, and they're 5-11 right now. So,
yeah, dude, he is the Ravens.
He is the Ravens. That's pretty true. His numbers are fine enough for me because it's not about numbers. It's about where would your team be if you weren't there? And
they're the number 1 seed.
They're the number 1 seed, and without him, they're not even making the playoffs. So that's how important he is. Love Christian McCaffrey. But if he got injured and didn't play the whole season or wasn't going to come back and was been out and is not going to play in the playoffs, San Francisco's still going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're not going because he's there. They wouldn't probably have home field advantage. Maybe that would go on to Detroit or the Eagles or Dallas or something. But certainly they'd still make the playoffs. I don't think you can argue that. Eagles aren't doing shit without Jalen Hurts. Period.
Speaking of that, I hear the Eagles fans are pissed about that Lions call because it fucked up their playoff picture.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, well, how about you just beat the fucking
Cardinals? Why don't you just do that? Why don't you just beat Girl Scout Troop 427? Why don't you just do that and shut the hell up?
Once you play ball, shut your mouth.
You imagine complain, man, that Detroit game really hurt us, man. Dallas got lucky. Yeah. And you had a 21-6 lead at halftime against a 4-win team, 3-win going into the game. Oh, and by the way, you guys had 277 yards of total offense, 275 of it from Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran up 477 yards on you, bro. The hell? They only had one other game over 430, and that was against the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they punked the Eagles, man. Just totally punked them. Eagles just acted like they didn't really have to show up. And wrong. I think there's something going on in the Eagles locker room. Because you notice over the last few weeks, all anybody ever talks about, we need unity, unity, unity. And all that means to me is there's fractures in that locker room. People are pointing fingers and saying, you're the guy who's at fault. I think Terrell Owens is in there running around talking to people.
Yep. How about it? Did
So,
you know?
but as long as we're
Yeah,
talking
go ahead.
about all MVPs, these are my guesses. Coach of the year is going to be Kevin Stefanski.
Hmm.
What he's done with the Colts, especially that he's down to his third or fourth string quarterback with Minshew, and they still look like they may make the playoffs. I don't think they will, but I think comeback player of the year is going to be Baker Mayfield. CJ Stroud's going to be offensive rookie of the year. Jalen Carter's going to be defensive rookie of the year. And Myles Garrett's going to be defensive player of the year. Those are my guesses.
Man, I don't know if I can disagree with any of that. I mean, that's all pretty spot on if you ask me.
I mean, you can make arguments for other players. I don't know. No other offensive player. Stroud's the man, and Jalen Carter too. I think that they're the as rookies, but
Right.
you can make strong arguments for outside of Myles Garrett for Micah Parsons. You can make a strong argument for him for defensive player of the year. Aiden Hutchinson from Detroit is another guy, and of course any Bosa or Watts will do. So there. I mean, there's a lot, and then of course the kid in Oakland who harasses everybody in the AFC West has had a pretty damn good year. And now there's rumor that the Raiders are going to trade up because the Bears are going to stick with Jalen with Justin Fields. I mean, look at them; they're 7-9, a team that was
They
what, like
should.
2-7.
Yeah, Fields is pretty good.
Yeah, they've really turned their stuff around, and it's starting to click. So that there are three high quality quarterbacks that they expect to maybe even go 1, 2, 3 off the board, with the exception of Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin Harrison's kid, who is
Hmm.
legit wide receiver
Hmm.
royalty.
Yep.
So, and of course, the Commanders losing moved them up to number 2. So the rumor is that they're going to trade to the Raiders. Raiders and them are going to swap number ones this year, and number 2, Raiders number 2 will go to them this year, and then Raiders number 1 next year, or his name's escaping me. They're D end in Oakland.
Oh,
Kid who harasses your quarterback all the time.
Max
Yeah,
Crosby.
or Max Crosby. That's
Ooh.
the rumor that I heard today, and I thought, what? Because the Raiders look like they have a team with Devontae Adams and that tight end that they have.
Renfro.
Their running game, that defense is really gelling.
Hmm.
It would be worth giving all that up if they could actually get like. I mean, it's the Raiders. My guess is that they would take Caleb Williams from USC, and they can have them because Redskins get the number 2 pick, and if that and I want them to take Drake May because I think he's the best quarterback coming out. 6'4", 230 pounds, and throw a football through a brick wall.
Right
So,
on.
But the Redskins now are going to be number 2 either way, and even if Chicago decides to take a quarterback, I tell you what, Redskins shift back, get a lot of picks, and pick up Justin Fields. Be the best quarterback we've had since RG3.
You want to hear something weird, and it probably won't stand because of the way shit's going to shake out this week. Um, but speaking of like quarterbacks, and I'm not making any argument for Mahomes to be MVP, but did you know he is the most total yards by QB in the NFL right now? At total, now that's including rushing and everything. 4,572. Right behind him is Tua, and then behind him is Lamar, Prescott, and then Purdy. Um, I mean, that's not passing yards, that's not touchdowns, that's not so many other metrics. It's just
Right,
total yards.
right.
But I just found it interesting with, I think, 12 different drops in the end zone and 42 drops total of balls hitting receivers in the hands. Man, he could have had a hell of a season, but
Oh
didn't
no,
work out that way.
except for Kansas City fans, because you guys see this far away from your face when it comes to your team. Um, but everybody else in the football world knows that Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Nobody's arguing that. Tom Brady, the Patriots fans can
Get a
make the
lot of people
argument,
telling me otherwise on
was the
Twitter.
best quarterback the whole time, but he's not going to win the MVP every goddamn year. It's just not the way it's going to work.
Absolutely. No, I'm telling you that there are a fuckload of people on Twitter from other fan bases that are saying Pat Mahomes is not that good. He's been overrated. He's been the beneficiary of great calls and fucking a good coach and all these crazy good
Your
weapons.
best quarterbacks
And
always get that. Tom Brady lived with
and
that his entire career.
and I'm just like, okay, kiss my fucking ass. He has one down year. And
It's not a down
mind
year.
you, and mind you, it's still not even a town. He's still in the top fucking 5 of quarterbacks. Kiss my ass.
Look, nobody loved to hate Tom Brady more than I did. Just nobody. But that's what happens when you have the best quarterback. Is everybody's jealous? So look, if you're Kansas City, right? You're just the regular Joe Schmo City. You know, when the Joe Schmo City has the best looking woman in the entire world to date, the elites from Chicago and LA and New York and Philadelphia and everywhere else is going to tell you how ugly she is because they don't want the Midwest boy to have the most beautiful woman in the world. She should be cosmopolitan, damn it. What is she doing there? That's what's going on. That's what was going on in Boston. Everybody hating on Tom Brady, half of it was jealousy because he just always won and it just gets boring and tiring and frustrating, right? So look, there's every one of those people bitching. You know who's not bitching? Probably not Buffalo fans too much or guys that have Joe Burrow, but almost every other team in the NFL would do anything to trade and have Pat Mahomes on their team. You'd be crazy
Yeah.
not to.
Agreed. No argument here. So anyway, moving on.
I had Dan Snyder he owned that team for 25 years. 20 of them, Tom Brady was a quarterback in the NFL. I had Dan Snyder, and Boston had Tom Brady. That's why I hated him so much, because they won everything all the time. And by the way, the last team in the world I want to play in the playoffs because of their composure, their history, and their elite best overall over the last 5-6 years in the NFL. You don't want to play Kansas City. Nobody wants Kansas City showing up and playing them.
I mean, that's why they still have such high odds at Vegas to go to the Super Bowl because of their history of what they do in the playoffs. But I don't have that faith in them. But at this point,
well, the problem is.
But I'm also not counting them out either. Don't get me wrong.
This is one of the things from something that you just said a few minutes ago when it comes to Kansas City Chiefs. Then we'll move on. Once you get to the playoffs, everything starts new. Mm-hmm. All somebody has to do that they haven't been doing all year, whether it's MVS or whether it's any of your wide receivers, particularly MVS and
Tony.
But if any of them could literally just for a couple of games not drop something, I'll give Kansas City this. Last weekend was the first time I saw them in the longest time stretch the field, and it worked. They didn't turn it into touchdowns, unfortunately, but at least they were stretching the field. And by the way, if the game ball didn't go to Buckner, I don't know how it was supposed to.
It went to Butker, but listen,
Jesus,
fucking MVS still dropped the ball that hit him in the hands, and then he blamed it on Pat.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw it. He was like over here, and I'm like,
yep.
Motherfucker, if it hit you in the hands, you got to catch that shit. I don't give a fuck what you think about it.
Right. Well, what about the streak? What about the streak down the left sideline where he had to lay out a little bit, but the ball hit him square in his hands and he dropped it.
But that happens all the time with him. And I'm just saying, you're a wide out in the NFL. If you can get your fingers on it, you're supposed to grab that motherfucker. I understand if you can just get your fingertips on it. Yeah, that's very difficult. But do you know how many times a week I see a number one wide receiver, and he's being paid like our number one, reach out with one hand and cling on to the tip of a ball and catch that motherfucker? Because that's your job.
because we see
You
it
have
all the
one
time.
job.
Well, here, I just have a, if Andy Reid gets wind of this podcast or is even a subscriber, which he probably is, Andy, this is to you. During practice, put shock collars around your wide receivers' necks. And when they run a lazy route or they drop a ball, put it on full and hold the button for 2-3 hours. And they'll learn to catch really quickly.
Andy, you don't even have to do it yourself. You don't even have to pay anybody. I will volunteer to come to practice every day and do that for you for free. Sign me up. I'm
Make
in,
their
buddy.
whole helmet a shock apparatus.
I tell you what, the saving grace, the good news is MVS is gone after this season. Guaranteed. We'll save $10 million, $12 million on the cap.
Be able to
But
find somebody else.
he's making more than all the other wide receivers combined, and he gotta go.
Yep, I agree. So, that all being said, because next week after our predictions this week will be our playoff wild card special. So let's start with this past week's games. Jets and the Browns. We took the Browns, and that went as well as expected. I think the Browns are legit, and you don't really want to have to play them if you can avoid them, because the last guy you want under center in the NFL is Joe Flacco, who is the winningest quarterback in the playoffs in NFL history.
Joe Cool.
The Lions and the Cowboys, we have to take that as a loss on our record. Seems like shit to me. We will, because we're gentlemen and we play by fair rules. But
there's an asterisk give.
I'm just going to say it this way, and then we'll move on. The Lions are the first team in NFL history to win a game by losing 19-20. The Titans and the Texans. The Texans, not a surprise. Their defense is fine, and CJ Stroud is finally out of protocol, and he's back. Mm-hmm. Bears and Falcons. The Bears been balling. Mid-season, everybody's laughing at the Bears, and now they're 7-9. They're no joke.
Yep. Look out, Packers.
Fins and the Ravens. 56-19, and let's move on from that because there's one other team. Saints and the Bucks. The Bucks shit the bed here, and I was really surprised by that.
Same.
Saints aren't that good. I don't know where that game plan came from. It wasn't to say that it was Baker would be wrong. Every single player on that team was flat as hell. I have no idea what happened when they could have wrapped up their division and everything would have been over with. At home, I just shocked by that.
Yep.
If I was going to bet big money on a game, that would have been the one last week. I just couldn't see them losing. Pats and the Bills. No, Bills win. Pats are playing a little bit better football. Their defense is always okay.
They played that game. They played that game tight.
Oh yeah, and they will again this week too, because Bill Belichick's not going out on his back. Just not. He's gonna. Even if they don't win, they're gonna show the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Cards and the Eagles. I have no words for just how embarrassing that was for the Eagles. They should just be thoroughly embarrassed. The Jags.
Nick Sirianni got the Arrowhead curse for running his mouth in the tunnels out there, bro.
He should. These guys never learn, man. Panthers and the Jags. The Jags finally look like a complete football team. It was the Panthers, but I don't care how bad you are. Putting a goose egg on any professional football team is no easy trick.
True story.
So it's good to see their defense is getting healthy with playoff time right around the corner. I wish they could get their quarterback healthy. Trevor has been banged up and bad, and they had C.J. Beathard play because they were just going to get a more consistent game from him. Because with the concussions, the shoulder and the knee injury, poor Lawrence, man, since mid-season has just not been himself.
Do you think they'll keep him out of this game this week against the Titans?
I don't know. I think that's going to be a game day call. But I think either way they win. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal.
Yeah.
My guess is they think that they can. The playoffs start the week after. I don't think the Titans are a huge risk to you. I would probably let him play for a quarter. If he feels good, let him continue. By halftime, get him the hell out of there. And otherwise, take him out altogether. One of the two. If you're worried about rust, you know what I mean? Because he hasn't played in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, I mean, he could be going into the playoffs pretty rusty.
Well, that's
So
true.
he doesn't
That's
get a little
true.
bit.
He's coming off his
Yeah.
brain scrambled, and again,
Hmm.
that's another thing with the NFL that we've talked about before. All these high profile players getting concussions, and I'm leaving them in games and then missing 2 or 3 weeks after. That
Can't
upsets
be
me so much.
can't be doing that, man.
No way. Raiders and the Colts. I was disappointed in the Raiders. You had the Colts in that. I had the Raiders. Um, the Raiders have been playing good ball. Thought they would ball out for their new coach. I thought they're very equal teams, and it played out in the game. It's 23-20.
Hmm.
But you know,
Colts are humming along though, man.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Colts are trying to stay in it too, but
Hmm.
you make your picks and you do what happens. We'll see what happens, right? Rams Giants. That was closer than I expected it to be.
Hmm.
26-25 is pretty goddamn close. But they were on the road in the cold in Giants Stadium and they
Yep.
won. So
They won.
Niners and Skins. Well, that's what we expected. And
Hmm.
frankly, if Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, and Purdy and the coach all took the day off, they still would have won that game 27-10. It would have made no damn difference.
So you've already said that you think that Bieniemy is probably on his way out, or
Out.
else they would have
He's
given
gone.
him
Yeah.
the chance to run the reins of the
Yep.
whole thing already. Um, what do you think he's gonna? What do you think he's gonna do? Do you think he'll be OC somewhere? Do you think he's coming back to Kansas City to OC,
I think he's
or
going back
what?
to Kansas City because I think that it's obvious to me. Um, I think it's very obvious the discipline, particularly along the offensive line and the wide receivers' discipline in their routes, is radically different because you have the same guys from last year and somehow they're playing ball at a lower level. I don't.
Yeah, but does that? What is that? Is that an ego thing? Like, are you able to like go out to like have more control? And then, well, I guess that's exactly what Nagy did. I guess Nagy went to be the head coach of the Bears and then came back to be the OC, the Chiefs. So never fucking mind. It's just EB going back and go, give me my job back, bitch.
Look, I mean, you had a precipitous drop off in discipline along every
Dude.
aspect of your offense
Yeah.
except for three players. Pachenko, who I've fallen in love with this year because that kid runs so angry. I love his
So
attitude,
fun.
man.
So fun to
Kelsey,
watch.
who has just been beating the shit up all year. The cheap shots that guy takes, even when he's out, they're taking chippy shit at him because he's all they got on the wide
Yep.
receiving side of it, except for Rice and of course Pat Mahomes. He got frustrated at the end of the season and had an explosion. And who cares? Because football's emotional, and I get that.
Mhm.
And take care of your guys. 100% behind that. But except for those three guys, everybody on that offense owes an apology to the Kansas City Chiefs fans and to Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid for shitting up the fucking place. Because you pointed out a little bit earlier, and anybody who's paying attention, you guys are minimum of 2 games better, maybe 3. And Pat Mahomes is MVP of the league again if they could have held on to just half of those 42 drops or 49 or whatever the hell it is. And by the way, those 40 some drops, Cleveland's number 2 at like 31 drops. Right? I mean, it's a huge distance between 1 and 2.
We're double the average. We're double the NFL average in
Right.
drops.
It's insane, man. It's insane. Um,
Yeah. All right.
Steelers
So
and the
moving on.
Hawks.
So
That was a
yeah,
great football game.
we were at the
Um, the
commies. Now we're going to the
Seahawks
Steelers and
at home, I
Seahawks,
really
right?
thought they were going to take it, but never count out the Steelers, man.
Yeah, it looks like Eddie is frozen. Good old
Nope, technical
internet
difficulties.
is doing me good
Yeah.
tonight. I see.
Sorry for the
All right.
snafu, everybody. We had a little drop in our signal, as cell towers have a tendency to do sometimes. That's just life. Sorry for the interruption, and we'll get back to where we were. What I was getting ready to say to my brother Chad here is The Hawks, I thought at home because of their 12th man, which is huge. Kansas City and them have probably the two biggest advantages in the NFL when it comes to that. Um, but there is something about Mike Tomlin that just is miraculous. This guy wills his team to victory, even when his team's not good. And he did it again. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the playoffs and end up 10-7. They play the Ravens this week, and I think they may win that game. So, but hats off to them. Mike Tomlin is, he deserves to be in the discussion of coach of the year. Some people are talking about Pittsburgh getting rid of him. It's like, you know nothing about football or Pittsburgh's history if you think that's going to happen. Man's never had a losing season, and he proves it
I know.
again, and he's on his third string quarterback.
It's the only reason I gave them the prediction I gave them at the beginning of the season was because of Mike Tomlin. He was the only reason. I said I said they were gonna be like, I think 9-8, I might have said, or whatever. And it was just because he never has a losing season. That was the only reason.
But if I would have
He's like
told
a
you at the beginning of the
Nostradamus.
season, for sure, Kenny Pickett would get injured and be out. And then their second string quarterback, first name who's, last name that, who's that? Then he would be injured and he would be out. And then they'd be down to Maya Rudolph. I thought she was a comedian from SNL. Turns out she's now at 48 years old playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're winning.
Not on Christmas Eve, motherfucker. She's flying a sleigh.
So, wow, that's all I got to say there. Bengals, Chiefs. I picked the Chiefs. I got that one right. Chad gave up on his own team because frustration and all.
No. Just wait a second. Let me tell you what that was all about. I'm from the show me state, motherfucker. If you want me to bet on you anymore, I'll still be rooting. I had my gear on. I was here with my fucking family from Kansas City who came in from out of town to hang out. And we watched the game together, and I was rooting and doing all my normal shit. I'm not going to bet on you until you show me. And you hadn't showed me for a little while. And you had to show me again. Now that you show me again, all right, I can bet on you. But it was just like, if you want me to keep betting on you, you have to fucking do it. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Frustration, like I said. So next we go to the Bolts and the Broncos. We both took the Broncos. Broncos took it home. And then the Packs and the Vikings. We both took the Packers, and the Packers just slayed the Vikings on their home field, just destroyed them. So we both went 11-5. We split our 4 games off, 2-2.
Yes, we did.
And for the year, I'm 168-88, and you are 158-98.
10 games.
10 games. So now,
Boy, what am I going to? All right, this is going to be some crazy picks this week to try to make this up.
all right. Steelers, Ravens. Who you taking?
Opposite of you.
You said you
No,
already
I'm
had
just
it written down, bitch.
I do. Steelers it is.
Yep, I got the Steelers too.
So here's the deal. The Ravens are sitting their starters. Steelers have a lot to play for here. I just think that easy chance for the Steelers to get one here for sure.
Yeah, I think that the Ravens are crazy if they play everybody. They're going to have a week off anyway. You want Lamar and you want some of the starters just not to get too rusty and come in and play for a quarter or whatever. But nothing changes your position. You'd be crazy to risk guys, especially against your arch rival.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never
Who's
do
playing? Who's playing for a lot too?
Yeah.
Again, they're
yeah. And the Steelers really have something on the line. Ravens got 0 on the line.
Right.
So they're going to be playing a little
not get
more with
hurt.
reckless abandon because they have to.
Steelers are going to be playing with reckless abandon, and the Ravens are going to be trying to fucking make business decisions.
That's right. Right.
Right.
Business is going to win out. Texans and the Colts.
Oh man, I got the Texans because this is going to be a hell of a match, but I just feel like
I think it's one of the games of the week, but I got the Texans too because I'll take Stroud over Minshew.
Stroud, man, he's why, dude. I like what that team's been doing all seasons with him. So, and he's shown that he ain't going to skip a beat now. I mean, he's back in action.
Yeah, he looks good. That's another. I don't expect him to go far in the playoffs, but you're not just going to beat them up and walk away. They're going to play.
Damn right.
Jags and the Titans. I'll go. I got the Jags on this one, and the Jags are just seem to be got a lot of healthy defensive players in particular back. They looked really good last week, and I don't think that the Titans are just a mess right now. I can't see them beating a team that it's obviously they're going to take their division and go to the playoffs. So I just can't see them. I can't see it.
Jags are a better team. They're jockeying for position. Titans got nothing to play for. Jags.
Next, I have Vikings and the Lions. Who you got?
I think it's Lions all day. However, let me ask you this: do they sit?
After what they just happened to them, how angry
No,
they are, and they got
right,
and Dan
right.
Campbell's their coach. No way.
Yeah, they're
Now
playing.
he may pull guys in the second half when they have a
That's
75-0 lead.
75, maybe. Well, yeah, but what if they just had a 2 touchdown lead? He wants to win, right?
They can't. He wants it. He wants it. He wants to make a statement going into the playoffs.
Hmm.
He wants to keep that edge on his players. They're angry right now. He needs to
Well,
keep
then
them angry.
it's all right. By that standard, then I got Lions all day.
Because it's Dan Campbell. Like if it was Andy Reid or it was Bill Belichick, they would think a little different. But Dan Campbell wants to suit up and play in this game himself,
Yeah,
right?
he's gonna chew some kneecaps,
And
right?
frankly, while Dan Campbell may be in his mid 40s, that dude looks like he could suit up and play right.
He does.
Falcons and the Saints. Saints still have a shot, and the Falcons have none.
Right.
They hate each other's guts, but the Saints are at home, so I'm rolling with the Saints.
Yeah, amen, dude. Saints. Saints are rough lately, but they still have a shot. So, and they're at home.
We got the Jets and the Patriots in New England. I got Patriots all day.
Like you said, Belichick's not going out. He's not
No,
going out sitting down.
no way.
He's going to try to go out with a win and fuck the Jets.
But I do think the Patriots are going to part ways because
Mm.
they're in a rebuild, and Bill Belichick's too old for that shit. He don't want no part of that,
Nope.
and he doesn't want his legacy to be spoiled. And I'll tell you who doesn't either. Or is Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. He doesn't want to see him going out skidding out with a couple of losing seasons. He doesn't want that for him.
No, I don't think so either.
They're legend, right? And it'd be nice to see if Belichick went to like somewhere like San Diego and got them back immediately into the playoffs and coached a couple more years and then went, see you later, guys.
Yeah, except I'd have to deal with Belichick in my division.
All right. But it's San Diego. So even if you guys are going to play San Diego on the last game of the season for not only division title, but first seed in the playoffs, you know that their plane would crash and 7 of their starters would die because there's no way that the NFL gods are ever going to let the Chargers go to a Super Bowl ever again. That's the unluckiest team in the league.
It might have changed now that they're the LA Chargers and they're in a new stadium.
And they have Bill
And
Belichick.
and if they had Bill Belichick, the dark one,
Because obviously
I
God loves Bill Belichick and Tom Brady more than the rest of us. We've already established that.
well, I think he's like Darth Vader. Basically, he represents the dark side, and so he can like eliminate any curses
All
with the
right. So he's
swing of a hand.
Lucifer as opposed to God. All right. Bucks and the Panthers. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Bucks here. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Bucks can possibly beat the Panthers.
And if they do, they win their division. So I think it's a given.
Yeah,
But after last week, meh.
yeah, but the Panthers.
Browns and the Bengals. This is a good game. Who you got?
Well, I believe the Browns will be sitting their starters and that the Bengals will win this game.
Well,
So.
we are in agreement again. I do not think you have a 38-year-old quarterback who's been balling out like he's 28. Actually, has 5 consecutive games over 300. He never did that any time in Baltimore ever in his career.
Yeah.
And the old man could probably use a break after we saw him fall asleep on the sideline of fourth quarter last
And to
week.
put some ice on that elbow and get some rest.
Oh, he was literally nodding off. So I thought that was hysterical. Bears in the Pack, even though the Pack are at home and the Pack have some weird outside shot at the playoffs, I'm calling the Bears on the upset.
I'm going Bears too. I think the Bears are going to roll in there. They hate the Packers.
Yeah, oh,
It's a big
this is the
rivalry.
oldest, most played rivalry in NFL history.
Yep, they
And their
want to.
games, it's like they played each other, I don't know, 100 and some odd times, and they're only like 1 or 2 games off from being 500 from each other. It's
Well,
crazy.
the Packers still have a shot, and the Bears would love to just completely ruin that.
Oh, absolutely. They'll die on the field trying to ruin that shit.
Yep.
Cowboys and the Skins. The Cowboys literally don't need to put players on the field to win this game
Agreed. Give the
because
Cowboys.
this is why. I know the rivalry and everything else. This is the reason. The Redskins could do everything they could to upset the Dallas Cowboys and maybe lose their first chance since RG3 to get a legitimate franchise quarterback and be great for the next 12 to 15 years. And I don't think they're going to be giving that up. I'm telling you right now, new ownership is telling all of them to stand down. Just stand down.
Right.
I'm assuming you have them as well.
I do.
Broncos Raiders, who you got?
Man, that's a tough one. I don't have that written down. I guess I didn't write that one down. That's hilarious. That's why it's tough for me right now because I'm thinking about it too hard.
I
It's
go
at the
first.
Raiders. It's
I'm
at the
taking the
Raiders.
Raiders, and I can tell you why. They're at home, number one. And the Broncos still have some miracle outside shot kind of weird thing. And if they can do anything to fuck that up, that's exactly what they're going to do. Broncos don't impress me. And by the way,
Wait,
if
so who are you
Broncos,
picking?
if the Broncos offensive line think that they're going to do any better against that Raiders defensive front four than say anybody else has done all year, and you got Sidwell starting, who doesn't have hardly any experience and played on the Raiders last year, and they know all his weaknesses. Nah, I got the Raiders.
I was gonna say I got the Raiders too. So Raiders, they're at home, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I got Raiders.
And Sidwell was back up for them last year. They know this kid. They know his cadence. They know how he operates.
Boy.
Eagles, Giants. I got the Eagles. They have to win this game.
Yep. Or why? Why do they have to? Statement? The
Yes.
statement game?
They
Because they don't
they if
they could rest starters.
they can't back into the playoffs losing to the Cardinals, who have the 4th pick in the draft, and then the Giants, who have the 5th. Like you can't go into the playoffs feeling good about yourself, losing back-to-back games to 2 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. And I
I'm
think that
talking
they're
about
going to come out hard.
they might.
They got
It's
if
up
they
to
don't keep
starters.
their ship straightened out, because if they let their guys off, and they have been this off on the back half of the season, they have no time to get themselves together at all. I got the Eagles.
I don't
Feel
disagree.
free to take the
I don't
Giants.
disagree. No, 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 no. I'm taking the Eagles. I don't disagree with you. It was kind of like if are we going to do the caveat? I mean, because like if a fucking quarterback is hurt and he doesn't play, it's a caveat. So if he doesn't play, that's all I'm asking. Like,
Well, let's
is
just
it
say
fair if
if you start the game off, and for some reason the Giants, who have 4 sacks all year, all of a sudden become really good at rushing the quarterback, and your guy's at danger, then maybe you think about taking him out. But if the Eagles, you have to balance it to me. If you go into the playoffs losing 5 of your last 6 games, you're losing your first round of playoffs. You have to have something to hang your hat on. Something, anything at this point.
I don't disagree. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm like, nah, man, get their asses out there,
Oh
make
no,
them show me.
you're crazy. You don't know Eagles fans. The Eagles fans will put a gun to those players' heads and force them out on the field. They throw snowballs at Santa, for Christ's sake.
Yes, sir.
Hawks and the Cardinals, and they're playing in Phoenix. Personally,
See,
I'm taking the Hawks. They don't want to go into the offseason feeling like dog shit, losing into the Cardinals, whom they hate because they're division rivals, and a team that has only won 4 games all damn year.
same here. Seahawks, they still have something to play for, and they're gonna try and do
Now,
it.
this is an interesting game. Rams Niners. Neither one of them need to win this. Neither one of them improve their position. So we know that Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford is not playing. He is not risking Matthew Stafford, right? Like the Rams only win when Stafford's playing to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And his backup quarterbacks are garbage. And we know that the backup quarterback who came in for Purdy when they benched him a couple of weeks ago played like a 5-star superstar, right? I mean, with 13 for 16. And so they have it. I don't think McCaffrey will be playing much, but I don't think they're going to have Nuka on the field. I don't think they have Cooper Kupp on the field on the Rams side. I don't think Debo and them are going to be playing. I think it's going to be second string versus second string. There's nothing to win here. And because of that, and they're at San Francisco, I'm just taking the Niners, that their depth of their team is far superior to the depth of the Rams. And without Matthew Stafford playing, the Rams don't have much of a chance against most teams.
And you really think they're going to sit Stafford?
They're crazy if they don't. He's an old man by football standards, and he's already been injured earlier this year, his shoulder. They're crazy if they, because they're going to play the very next week again. So if they're going to get if they, instead of going 10-7, they go 9-8, they are still the last seed team. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, they could go between 6 or 7, and there's still like if all of the world completely shattered, they could still even make the number 1 seed, believe it or not. But
who? The Rams?
Isn't there some mathematical way they still could?
Only if all the teams with 11 wins die.
Well, San Francisco's
already got 11 or 12.
They've clinched it, yeah.
Dallas, Detroit, and Philadelphia all have 11.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They have 9.
Okay, that would have been. I think that would have been as of last week. I'm thinking here.
Nope,
well,
not even.
No, this is January 1st.
Huh?
No, never mind.
Yeah, I don't
anyway,
know anything about with the Rams. They've been mathematically not even able to get the number 1 seed for a month. Right now,
it's the New York Times saying it. That's why.
What?
It's the New York Times saying it. That's why it's bullshit. They're literally saying they have a 0.1% chance to make the 1 seed.
Who does? Not the Rams. They're 4 games behind.
The Rams now have a less than 1% chance to get a first round bye. That's what they're saying.
No.
Still, though, that would be the 1 seed.
Only 1 team can get a first round bye.
I don't know why the New York Times is saying that, brother, but it is.
I don't know why you're reading the New York Times.
Just reading the headline. Nonetheless, it is the difference between the 6 or the 7 seed, right? And that doesn't really change much. So, yeah, I'm hearing you, man. That's some good logic. I had Rams down first, but I didn't think about them sitting Stafford because I didn't realize it didn't really change anything for them. So I'm changing my pick to the Niners as well.
Yeah, right now you got the Cowboys, Eagles, Niners, Lions, and the Buccaneers. Actually, there's nothing the Rams can do to be anything other than the 7th seed. That's it. That's all they can do. Even if they won, that's all they would be.
They could be the 6th seed as well.
No, they can't. All they would have is 10 wins. The Buccaneers, they win their division, they're automatically number 4. The Lions are automatically number 3. 49ers are number 1. Cowboys or Eagles are number 2.
Then why are the LA Rams themselves saying that they could get the 6th seed?
They can't. It's impossible.
Well, then why are they? I mean, I guess you know better than them. That's interesting.
Well, no, I'm just looking at the numbers. They only have 9 wins.
Just Google it. Just Google Rams playoff picture.
I don't need to
do why everybody else is saying 6 or 7.
Cowboys and the Eagles are both 11-5. San Francisco is 12-4. Lions are 11-5. That's 4 of the teams right there. The Buccaneers, they win their
Rams
division
are number 6
by
seed. Rams are number 6 seed entering into week 18.
Right. I'm saying that even if they win or lose, they're the 6th seed. I keep saying 7. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, well, that's how you're fucking me up.
Yet
They could
or the
drop to the
Vikings.
7th. That's all I've been saying.
No. If they lose, they still stay 6. It doesn't matter because they have the conference lead and wins.
All right.
Because
It doesn't
the only
matter.
way, the only other teams that are eligible are the Seahawks, the Packers, and that's it. Those two, or the Saints maybe, might be able to sneak in, but they'll have the same record. But the Rams have the tiebreaker with all of them, so they're 6 no matter what. Nothing changes for them.
Alrighty.
Actually, if I were them, I'd rather probably play 7th anyway because you'll get the lower seeded. No, you don't want that because you'd have to play San Francisco. No, not San Francisco.
Packers have the head-to-head tiebreaker. That's why.
Do they really?
Yes.
Did not know that. So, still not worth risking your guys for.
I agree.
Hey.
49ers.
I think the 49ers are just a vastly superior team either way. And it's going to be a shame because they're going to lose to the Bears anyhow, so it doesn't matter. Chiefs Bolts, that's an easy one for me. Chiefs aren't anybody.
You don't think?
No. Unless somebody's already injured, no way in hell. That offense is struggling horribly, and they need to get on the same page. Defensively, they might.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that wouldn't be good.
The Bolts suck dick anyhow.
Yeah, I know, but I have a feeling the Chiefs are going to rest some guys because they got some injured guys. And guys that need a break.
But Pat Mahomes isn't injured. They might let Kelsey take off.
Yeah, I think they're going to throw 2 passes to Kelsey for whatever gets him past 16 yards because that's what he needs for a 1,000-yard season, 8 in a row now. So they'll throw 16 yards to him. He'll go to the bench. They'll probably bench Pacheco because he's the most bright spot we have. And I don't know. I could see them benching some other guys, but you might be right. Yeah, I'd originally.
All I'm saying is, if it was me, if I was the guy in charge, that offense that hasn't been able to get on the same page in 15 fucking games, I'm going to be praying to God that we can get something cohesive going against a low life team who's already given up on this season so that we feel good going into the playoffs.
Yeah, so I prefer that. I just don't think I think they're going to bench some guys, and I think the Chargers are going to win. So,
okay, I'm 11 games ahead, and then the Bills and the Fins. The Bills haven't made this comeback and did all this.
Why not make it a fucking dozen? Dolphins.
So I already wrote in Fins for you. I had no doubt that's what you were doing.
Fuck the Bills.
But the Bills, I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl, and I'm riding them all the way to the end, man. Not giving up on them now. They've beaten. It's not like this when they were 6-6. This jaunt that they've been on, they have literally played only one team with a less than stellar record, and they've beat them all. So,
I mean, that's a hell of a turnaround, being 6-6, and now you're looking.
Now you're going to win your division if you win.
Winning your So I mean, that's impressive. It really is. I just think but this could. I mean, this is a divisional. It's in the Dolphins' house, and I know I think the Bills are the better team.
Bills own them. They own the Dolphins 7-1, kind of like you guys and the Broncos, right? Like you just win.
Well, kind of like the Chiefs and the Raiders, except then the Raiders beat our ass. You know what I mean? It happens. The Broncos beat us.
You guys weren't playing good to begin with. This team's turned around their whole season, and the only team playing better over this last 4 or 5 weeks is the Ravens.
Here's what happens. Sean McDermott makes a dumb fucking call at the end of the game. They lose somehow, barely, by a stupid fucking call by Sean McDermott. And the Bills end up letting go of McDermott as a result. And that sends the entire playoff picture into a whole crazy thing. That's how Baker Mayfield makes it in, right?
No, Baker Mayfield's in the other conference.
or not Baker Mayfield. Who the fuck am I thinking of? God damn it. Oh, I'm drawing a blank here. That's how the Texans make it in, right? Or who else would be that
Texans are
wild
in if they
card?
win.
Right. Or the Colts. Or, you know,
Well,
whoever loses that game,
right.
you
The,
know,
the, Col- the
whoever's
Colts
jockeying for
have
that
to
wild
win and
card
the
spot.
Bills have to lose for the Colts to get in.
Right.
That ain't going to happen. That's just
So
fanciful thinking. Um, I'll go with the team that Dallas almost beat Miami at home, and the Bills are a better team than Dallas. They have a better quarterback, better running game, defenses. I give that to Dallas actually. So, but we'll fit.
well,
We're going to find out. I think that's the very last game of the year on Sunday night.
yes, indeed.
So, but the Bills have for this is a playoff game for the Bills. It's not for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins can't improve their position. Well, yeah, division's on the line for them too. So,
And they have to fucking make a statement. They need
oh, they
to
need to make a statement.
pull it
Make
together at
no doubt.
home. Like, you know,
How morally dejected are they by losing by 159 points to the Ravens the week
I
before?
mean, if you're Mike McDonald, you're pulling out all of your tricks. You're giving it all you got at this point because
But that's going to be, I mean, to end the season on that game, wow. I know where
yeah,
I'm going to be, right in front of the damn TV watching that game.
glued.
Yeah, it's going to be. There's a couple. I would say that game, Texas Colts has a lot on the line too. I'll be watching that. Jags Titans, I'll be watching that for obvious reasons because Jags are my team here. But if the Jags were to get upset, they're out. So they got to win. So there's a lot on the line for them. Other than that, with deep playoff implications, not really anything. Bears beating the Packers. That should be good because Packers, if they win, they're in, right? So a lot on the line for them. I've never been behind the pack all year.
Somebody always gets upset every year and gets, their chances snatched from them the last game of the season by a rival. That's gonna be this game. So
Yeah, it's gonna
anyway,
that's gonna be a lot of fun.
we're bumping up against our time here. So
Yep.
just a
All
heads up.
right. Probably well past it. So thanks everybody for joining in. Listen to us talk shit for shit talking sake. Talking about football. We will see you next week, and we will be getting into the playoffs because we will know who's who, what's what, and who's playing who in the first round and the wild card. And we will be able to spend more time on teams.
I also, because we're going to be moving into the off season soon, and we're going to be talking about more political and culture things, I'm sure, going forward, especially with the 2024 election coming underway. This year's going to be fucking bananas. I know it. It's how it always works on election seasons. So as we're shifting into that, with fewer games coming underway now, we'll have fewer games to predict next week. And so, Ed, if it's cool with you, I think I'll bring a prompt for a cultural or political topic that we can touch on at the end of our cast. And then maybe through the playoff season, we can sort of do a half, cover the playoff games and then cover a little culture politics and then sort of ease our way into the politics so we don't just smack ourselves right in the face with it.
And for all of our dozens and dozens of fans, we're probably going to continue that as we get into the next football season by following and talking about the teams that have value and not so much the ones that don't. We have hit every team every week, all year long. And so we're new at this, so there's going to be some changes, but hang on tight because it's going to be a fun ride either way.
Absolutely. All right, folks. And with that, thanks for tuning into another Mancast, and we will catch you next time around. Peace out.
Happy New Year, y'all.